I was generating close to $40,000 a month in revenue, and I still felt trapped by the money. Now that sentence doesn't make sense to most people. Some are struggling to make their first $5,000 to $10,000 a month. And hearing someone say 40,000 feels like a trap just sounds ridiculous. But it's true. And the reason it happened taught me something about money that changed how I build my entrepreneurial projects and now my life all around. Now, this isn't going to be a video about how to make more money. I'm going to challenge how you think about money. And I'm not going to give you a get-rich framework. This is about my understanding from my own experience, why money behaves the way it does in your life. Because until you understand that, more money just amplifies whatever is already happening. And that can be a really uncomfortable surprise. Now, this video is at the heart of something that is very profound for me. So let me take you through it. And so let's break down your relationship with money, because money can be used as a life teacher and a mirror, and it will show you exactly who you are if you're willing to look. Now, if you're consistently and constantly chasing it, it's showing you that you have a scarcity mindset. If you're looking to avoid it, it's showing you your fear. And if you hoard and save it, it's showing you your mistrust. If you flow with it, it's showing you your true alignment. Money is not the actual prize. It's a tool that reflects your beliefs, your impact to others, and your vision. When you master your relationship with money, you master the way you create abundance in every part of your life. And so money is an amplifier of those aspects of yourself. It's one of the most accelerated and powerful amplifiers of what you are in this very moment, what your mindset and what your thinking looks like. It's a perfect way to self-identify where you're at, what you're trying to become, and where you've been. This is a perfect example in my life. Yes, I was making $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month in revenue in my business, keeping close to $10,000 or $15,000 a month. Because I was working out of misalignment though, it was amplifying both internally and externally what was happening. In my case, it was amplifying my anxiety and my risk tolerance to continue working in a business and in a business model that was not something that I wanted anymore, even though I had worked on it and grew it for close to a decade. I knew deep down it wasn't something I wanted to continue doing, but yet I felt trapped. I fell to the trap of money just for making money's sake. Yes, at the beginning I was doing it for passion and love and building something cool and innovative and different, and also allowing me to amplify what I actually wanted at that time in my life. It was a remote opportunity for myself, not just a job, but an actual business that I owned and operated virtually, that would allow me to travel the world, explore different cultures, and explore myself through it. And so it was amplifying that exactly, and it was actually coming to reality. Now, I had the blessing to be able to travel to over 35 countries, digitally nomad around the world, and explored every continent except Africa and Antarctica. That's because it was amplifying that desire of mine to have time independence, controlling my own time, being my own boss, which you hear all the time. Money was amplifying that, what I wanted in that very moment. Eventually, after many years of doing that, it didn't necessarily that I didn't want to continue traveling and digitally nomading and being in that sort of lifestyle. It was actually that now I was doing it more just only for the money. Once that transition internally happened, that's when the amplification turned into the anxiety and into the fear. And that was a turning point for me and a life lesson. Money doesn't create stability on its own. It actually puts pressure on whatever it's moving through. Now, in my case, it was moving through my own container of my beingness. So if what you're building is aligned with that pressure, it will actually sharpen things. While if it isn't aligned, that pressure will start to expose the cracks. Money is a mirror. It's not a goal in and of itself. And when you start seeing money that way, your whole relationship with it changes. Now, here's where it starts to get even more interesting. Abundance isn't 100% spiritual and energetic. It's also structural. Money follows clarity, systems, and leverage. I come from a background in private equity consulting. I was helping firms take their financials and implement them into fund accounting software. I used to work with clients that were managing anywhere from $250 million to $50 billion under management. These were big private equity firms, family offices, funds of funds. I'm talking about A16Z, which is Andreessen Horowitz's firm, Berkshire Hathaway, which is the private equity leg of Warren Buffett, 500 Startups, which was a fund involved in funding, as the name says, 500 startups in the tech space in Silicon Valley, and many more. Basically, it's the 1% of the 1%. So I got a real deep and firsthand look at how these people were moving, managing, and legally through loopholes, hiding money. It gave me a real good understanding of how much money is in this world and how really anyone can do it. Now, it isn't for everyone, and that's the reason I left in the first place. Because it was an industry I didn't want to be a part of anymore, because it seemed extremely superficial and, as you could imagine, completely money and profit oriented. Even though it was a short time, close to a year, that I worked there, it also was because I just wanted to be an online entrepreneur. So I'm not going to be the guy who tells you raise your vibration and money will appear, but I'm also not going to tell you that it's all spreadsheets and numbers. It's actually both, and that's the space where I live in, and I want to help you be a part of it too. Most entrepreneurs relate to money like it's something to hold on to, something tight or finite, and even easy to lose. What changed for me was understanding that money doesn't want to be trapped. It wants to move. It wants to flow, inflow, outflow, just like water. There's a reason it's called cash flow, liquidity, currency, and many more water terms. But here's a practice that I did and do every Friday ever since 2020. At first, I called it the finance ritual. Now, I call it the abundance deep dive. Basically, what I do is I look at my numbers, not just from my business, but also in my personal life. I look at what comes in. I look at what's coming out. I look at my debt. I look at my credit. I look at all my expenses and I sit down with it and I face them. It's not from fear. It's actually from power. I'm basically putting and shedding light on this amplifier that is money. If I can feel safe and if I can feel decisive with what I'm doing, then it all stems down from there. When you face your money consistently, it stops being this scary thing that's hiding in the dark. It actually becomes information. And information is how you actually make decisions. Most people avoid looking at their money, and they're not actually avoiding the money itself. They're avoiding what they'll think that they'll find. And this happens more than 90% of the time with the people that I work with. They're actually surprised at how good of a position they're actually in, and it's super empowering. So here's a practical framework of this abundance deep dive. First, you want to understand how much you're actually spending. You want to also understand how much you're actually making. As an entrepreneur, it has ups and downs, of course. It has cycles. It's not consistent. You can use, if anything, a 3-month average. Ideally, once you really do this every week, you actually use that week's income. What you're gonna do is split up the money into different accounts or buckets. Each bucket or each account is going to be used for a very specific purpose. Operating, covering your business or living expenses. Debt, to pay off your debt, and it's basically a dedicated debt reduction account. The third one, save or invest. I'm a big proponent of investing over saving. Now I can make a whole video on that later. Another account is payroll. If you have a team, it's to pay your payroll and your team. Another account is for taxes. Always set aside money to pay your taxes. And then you can have a mix and match of other accounts or buckets as you need them for your own use case. What you're gonna do is you're gonna find out how much you need based off of that 3-month average to cover each purpose for each account. Ideally, you'd like to use some sort of automated bank account. Nowadays, for example, Bluevine or Relay, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is available, and other fintech banks actually have this, or you can manually do it. At the time I was working with Chase, so I had to manually make these transfers. Basically, you want to take those percentages coming in from one account and split them into the accounts allocated for each purpose. What that does is that it removes all the noise. It boils down to one number, which is what I call the tip of the football, which is your true stance on where you're at with your money. Now you can do this for your business or multiple businesses if you have them, and for your personal life. Therefore, you're always knowing and looking at only one thing to know where your money's at and how you're flowing with money. Everything else is a system. And once you set that system up, yes, it takes a little bit of time, and yes, it takes a little bit of understanding. Yet what it really does is that it empowers you. And there's no better feeling than being empowered with money. Whether you have hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, or even billions of dollars. So if you have any questions on this abundance deep dive, let me know in the comments below, and let me know also if you want me to do a deep dive on the abundance deep dive itself. I can do that and make a whole video for it. And so the conversation shifts at this point. It's no longer how do you make more money? Is what I'm building the right container for it? And that's a totally different conversation. And I highly recommend that you have it with yourself or with me, because it's worth having sooner rather than later. Financial clarity, to me, isn't just knowing your numbers on what you spend or on what you owe or what you even earn. That's only the surface. For me, financial clarity means that you're not defined by your money. It means that you understand how it flows through you, not just around you. It means that you can see clearly what's working and what's out of alignment. Now here's what I see over and over again. Most entrepreneurs never build because they stay consuming. They hear everything I just said and they just nod along. And then they just open up another tab and watch another video or listen to another podcast. You know that alignment matters. You know that money amplifies whatever it is already there. But knowing isn't enough. The gap between knowing and doing is where most entrepreneurs live permanently. They consume more content, more information, instead of actually building, taking risks, and making things happen. Let me explain why that happens and what to do about it. That's my next video. I'll see you there.